Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. It's Friday. I'm Robbie. That means it's time for the Rex and Robbie show. That's right. And this is Rex. What is up, Rex?
Hey, welcome to What's going on, brother?
It's Friday. I'm Robbie.
That means hold it's on.
Time for the Rex and Robbie
Sorry,
show.
buddy.
That's right. Yep, you're going to have to turn that off.
Hold on. My bad. My bad on that one.
You came in, and all of a sudden it's damn live stream inception.
I like to watch, because the StreamYard chat moves up and then I can't see it. So the YouTube is a little slower. So I don't have to keep flipping back and forth and scrolling up and down. I can just check, what's a little bit behind if it's already moved off the screen. And I forgot to turn the mute off or mute on. So that's on me. My bad.
Oh, that's all right. It's all right. All right. So tonight
I didn't claim to be Bill Gates or anything like that, guys.
Today, I think we got a cool topic of conversation. I was watching there's a news show on YouTube I watch called Breaking Points. I watch it sometimes. So this video popped up and it was like Matt Damon explains why movies suck or something, right? And it's an interview of Matt Damon from Hot Ones, right? Where they eat the hot wings, they progressively get hotter. I really like that show, but I haven't watched it in several months. So Matt Damon was on there, and Sean asks him why movies feel different now. Why some people may say they don't make movies for me anymore. And in particular with Matt Damon, we're talking about these kind of like 90s like character dramas that he was a part of, like Good Will Hunting, right? Which made his and Ben Affleck's career. They won Academy Awards for that. So did Robin Williams. I love that film. I don't know if there's less films like that nowadays, but it does seem like there's less marketing, like people are less aware of them for sure. However, he was basically saying that the reason why this has changed is when physical media kind of went out and rental stores and everything kind of moved to streaming, it removed this second wave of income from a movie. So if you had a movie, he mentions one movie that cost $25 million to make, it's going to cost $25 million to market. They got to split costs with the exhibitors, the theater owners. So that means this movie, which is just like this really low-key character piece, it has to make $100 million just to kind of break even for the producers. So he was basically saying that since this happened, now there is no second wave of DVD sales or Blu-ray sales or anything like this. He says that there's less willingness for people to put money behind these movies that aren't, say, Fast and Furious or the MCU or a Batman film, something like that. I thought that this would spark a cool conversation, and we appreciate everybody being here. We got Verno from the Cerebros, and we got Afro X, legendary station.
You were absolutely first, Afro X.
Yes, you were. And we want everybody to participate in the conversation. Be sure to comment below in the comments or participate in the chat. You'll be entered to win a contest. We'll draw that winner on Monday's show over at the EXP. Me and Rex do a show every Monday over at the Experience, where they have a lot of great comics and collectibles, and we always have great pop culture related conversation. So I thought this would make an interesting piece to think about. And I want to know, you out there in the chat, you out there watching this video, what do you think about this? Have movies in particular, and maybe TV shows, have they weakened, gotten less daring, less bold, because people are less willing to take a chance on a movie that's not going to automatically bring in $1 billion? Rex, what are your thoughts on this?
I would say that well, let me say this. I disagree with Matt Damon, and I think and I love him as an actor. I love the Bourne series, whatever. So it's not a question about his acting ability, certainly. But I disagree with him because I think that this is an issue in the movie industry that's been going on for a really, really long time. Okay. The top 20 movies from the 1970s every year till now has always been the blockbusters. Okay. So if you want to blame something, then you can also blame the exorbitant salaries that the actors get. And I'm not saying they don't deserve it. Okay. If we're willing to watch the movies and studios are willing to pay for it, then that's the case. But even in the 70s and before, well, yeah, I'd say I use the 70s mainly because that's a period that I remember growing up in. All right. So anything before that, I'm not going to, maybe the late 60s, but I'm not going to really comment because I think that the movie industry as a whole changed, So the actors during that period in the 40s and so on, they were tied to their studios. very much like an athlete's contract. And then
Yeah.
that broke loose, and then that didn't happen. And then their salaries started to go up. And I got no problem with that. You know, if I'm the actor, I'm the face of the movie. You know, why shouldn't I get the lion's share? A lot of people are coming into the movie theaters to see me. You know, why should it all be yours? You know, why should I be tied to you? But I don't believe he can blame it on DVDs, because I think the problem has always been there, just in the same way that it is today. Studios are going to try to bank the 20 top movies, the ones that they know, with actors that they know are going to be a big hit. And then independent productions have always struggled. Even though they're great movies, every now and again, one sneaks up and gets out of there, all right, and manages to make the big screen. But normally speaking, this has been going on since pretty much movies entered into the modern age. You know, these independent directors, they have this great idea, they have this great screenplay, and they go hat in hand to say Paramount or whomever, you know, like some bean counter up, you know, in his big office with his big desk, is looking at you going, "No, I don't see it. No, I don't see it." Okay, because he's not driven by what, you know, the artistic side of films. He's driven by the almighty dollar. And if there's any better example of that, it's what's happening right now at WB Discovery. Okay. And the CEO Zaslav, or whatever his name is, I mean, this guy's treading water, man. You better watch it, buddy. You're going to be out of a job in a year if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And it seems very clear to me that all he's looking at is a spreadsheet given to him by the bean counters in that department. And he's like, "Oh yeah, let's wax this. Let's wax this. Let's wax this." Okay. So it's purely monetarily driven. And it's always been like that. So, you know, his argument about DVDs doesn't really fly with me, because what's really changed? Okay. So you go back to the 70s and there was nothing. You go to the movie theaters to watch a movie. That's it. Okay. You had no other option. And then maybe years and years go by and it'll end up on network TV with all the commercials and everything else. Right. Then came the VCR. And, you know, the VHS and Betamax, which obviously was not a great idea. The Betamax went to the same graveyard as the 8-track did. But so why didn't that bite into it? You know, and now he's saying, well, we don't get that ancillary revenue. Yeah, you do. If anything, what they've done is they've just cut out the middleman, the Blockbusters, the Red Boxes, and all those guys, because now it goes direct to streaming. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing, because it's very much like books. Okay. Oh, sorry. It's very much like books. I think that, you know, we saw that transition happen fairly quickly, and bookstores disappeared across America. And I'm sorry about this, bro.
This is the most unprofessional I've ever seen Rex be on this.
I am so sorry, dude. Let me just
I see a little bit of what you're saying, but one thing is, I don't think it's like indie film. I mean, it's still being made, right? People are still making these films, but the idea of that the bigger studios, you know, back in the 90s, you kind of had this renaissance where people were like winning like prestigious awards at film festivals and stuff. There was that big Sundance movement. You remember all the Miramax, all these indie movies would get picked up. We got people like Quentin Tarantino came out of this. We got Richard Linklater. We got Kevin Smith. You know, we had this rise of filmmakers that came out. And
CPA Frank. Yeah, that's right. Warner Brothers is calling me because I ranked on them. Yeah, it's fast. Their lawyers are fast, dude.
Yeah, they are, man. They're
I'm
always
happy
watching.
You're watching the show.
Yeah, they're always watching. We appreciate everybody. Please hit that thumbs up, lawyers out there watching from WB. So you had this kind of rise and stuff, but like studios wanted this kind of prestigious kind of lineup in their stuff. Right now in the 70s, like in the 70s and before, until Jaws, you didn't expect movies to make $100 million in the theater, right? So with the rise of the blockbuster, the rise into the 80s, that does set up film differently, right? But when there are less chances for these, not necessarily always indie, but for a smaller film to be picked up by a bigger studio and to be placed in front of people that would like it, it's kind of like the way music started with me. Like it became harder to find music because the radio just starts playing the same 40 songs all the time, right? And I don't know. I think I understand what he's saying about the the DVD sales and the video stores were a big deal too. You know, they had to buy all those copies, right? And so that was something they could bank on, and they could bank on people going into a video store. And there were people like me who spent so much time going to video stores, reading the back of the VHSs or the DVDs and finding and discovering movies. Like in the 90s and the 80s, that was a magical place for me, right? Now you go on Netflix, you just look around and I don't know, man. Like, I think the TV shows for the most part pretty strong. Like Sandman's been a strong show. People are liking the new Game of Thrones. What is it? House of Dragon show or whatever. So they're still making good quality content, I think, on the smaller scale level, right? But movies, like, I don't know. It's a weird thing. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I don't understand how streaming makes up for that loss of revenue, because streaming seems to be a very hard business model to grow. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I disagree with that.
Okay.
See, this is why I disagree with it, because the money hasn't evaporated. Oh, the only thing that's really changed. What do you think? The studios aren't making money off the streaming? Of course they are. Okay. Right now, we went from, I think back years, I went from when Hulu first started. I had Hulu and the programming was meh. You know, it was what it was, but there were certain shows like what was it, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, you know, things like that, little sleeper shows that came out that I ended up watching, right, and loved it. I totally disagree with that. So that revenue stream has not gone anywhere. Now, if the studios are playing some sort of game, then that's on them. But you can't tell me they're not making money off of this. Now, what you've seen is a shift. And people are claiming, oh, streaming is dead. It's not dead. Oh, well, look at Netflix. It's got nothing to do with it. It's not that the format is streaming. It's Netflix not doing the right things or making the right moves. But more importantly, it's not even mistakes or missteps that they made. It was all of a sudden the IP holders, you know, the Paramounts, the Disneys. They said, oh, you know what, man, there's some money here to be made. Let's open up our own streaming service, and then we'll claw back all our IP. Netflix's failure is they don't own it, so they recognize that and try to create their own content. It's had, you know, more or less good or bad, but I totally disagree with Matt Damon on his entire premise is wrong, because in the end, like the book example I was trying to make, so all of a sudden bookstores started to disappear. All right, what I found is that although I used to love that, going to the bookstore or whatever, and, you know, the feel of it and whatever, and just browsing the section and whatever, the problem was this: the number of authors that I read was very limited. Why? Several reasons. Number one, how much time does a human being have? You're just going to randomly grab a title off the shelf, which is essentially what we did. We grab, I'll read the back of it, I'll read the inside jacket. I don't know. Okay. But I may have missed a great book because I'm depending on what that jacket was, right? I'm not spending whatever it was at the time. You know, it went from $1.99 to, you know, $8 to buy a paperback, you know, crossing 10 towards the end. I'm not risking that to buy a book that turns out to be really crappy. But what I find I'll do with Kindle is have books on sale, or, you know, free books or whatever. And obviously I pay for the, you know, through Amazon Prime for the service. And all of a sudden I pick up a book, and if I don't like it, I get a third of the way through and I'm like, oh, this sucks. I'm not reading this through, right? So I dump the book. I've also picked up books where, well, let me try it. You know, I got a long plane ride, so let me read it. And I read it and I get through a third of it and I love it. Now, this is not an author or a book that I would have ever discovered at a bookstore if it even got published. See, that's my point. So now all of a sudden you've gone to a point where people can self-publish, because you don't need to print up all these books. You don't need a publisher to back you. So in a sense, what we're doing right now on YouTube is a perfect example of that. I think there are more opportunities now. Do you really need the big budget? That's probably a discussion for another show. Do you really need that big budget promotion? No, you don't. Okay. I think one of the biggest mistakes that they're making over at WB Discovery, beyond the fact that you're shelving stuff because of the tax, you know, the tax write-off, whatever, is their CEO thinks, well, we're going to push everybody back to theaters. No, you're not, man. You're not going to be able to do that. Okay. Regal Cinemas, what is it? Cinemark or Cineworld. Okay. Yeah. Why are they declaring bankruptcy? You know, everybody, all we hear about right now is everybody's trying to get out after the pandemic. Everybody's trying to go out. You know, the airlines are canceling flights, delaying flights. Okay, people are stuck places. You know, everybody wants to get out after 2 years of the pandemic. So how are you losing money? You know, how are you in a bankruptcy situation? Because you guys haven't recognized the fact that the market shifted. It shifted. And is there a way? Yeah. But they're going to have to be less of you. And you're going to have to add something more than just you can watch the movie. And you can rant and rave at the studios about that. But unfortunately, the same reason Batgirl got squashed was they're looking at the bottom dollar. They're, you know, so if anything, you could say that the studios and the direction of film today has created less employment, less jobs, because as we said, places, so the disappearance of DVDs like Blockbuster and Redbox and even, you know, Netflix was smart. They made that hard left turn when they needed to. They did a basic shift of their business model, and that was smart. They saw the potential. So the only thing I think that you can really point at the studios and the industry and guilt them for is that, well, you've eliminated all these friggin' jobs. Now there is no Blockbuster. The one Blockbuster that's still alive has become a kind of museum sort of sideshow thing. Redbox is almost dead, if not already dead. You see a few of their vending machines here and there. And Netflix, obviously, they made a good hard left turn, and then the big boys jumped into the ring, and now they're struggling. Understandable. Okay. Yeah. So they need to find a new way to reinvent them. So, but now all of a sudden, an indie guy goes to a studio and they say, nah, we don't see it. All right. The heck with you guys. Technology will allow me to shoot this myself, and I'll throw it up on YouTube. Wow, and people watch it, and it's still the same game. You gotta love it, or you don't gotta love it. Okay, and then influencers like yourself watch the movie. Oh my gosh, this was fantastic, you know. And then the word gets out. Now all of a sudden, studios knocking on his door. Hey, we saw your YouTube feature. It was awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Well, how come when I came to you like 3 years ago looking for money, you guys said you didn't see it? Oh, well, because, you know, if they were telling the truth, because we're a bunch of accountants, so we don't know anything about such things. So we're morons. But now everybody loved you, so we love you. Okay. Why? Because they see dollar signs right behind them. Okay.
Yeah. It's all fueled by money, right? It's all fueled by money. And there's a different way to promote. I think one of the articles I shared to you, this one guy said, you know, surely you don't take a character drama and spend a lot of money putting billboards up in LA. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a different way to market now. There's a different way to go about things. But at the same time, it's so targeted now that it's less likely that you're going to find something that you wouldn't already be like geared to finding from your social medias or whatever. I want to get to some comments real quick. James Dunn says A24 seems to be doing well. I think A24 is making these kind of cool films. Now, most of them are genre films, right? But I know that they had a big smash hit with Everything Everywhere All at Once this year, but for instance, they had a lot banking on, was it The Northman? And that movie didn't do very well, right? And so, you know, I don't know. And X was one of my favorite movies of the year, and that's an A24 film. I don't know necessarily what it did. Aku says, I'm pretty neutral because I love it all. I'm a huge binger, physical media collector, and I go to the movies. I realize most of the people out there isn't buying all that. There are so many options now. I'm just like you, actually. Just like you. Yeah, I used to work at a Hollywood Video, and I loved it.
Hollywood Video.
Yeah. Cerebro says, option paralysis is a real problem. Almost too much content out there. Watching stuff over and over again was a huge part of childhood. Less likely to do that nowadays, for sure. Shawshank Redemption was a flop in the theater, but the movie rentals made it a classic. See, now that's something does that happen anymore? Here, I want to ask you, Rex, I want to get back to this original idea. Do you think movies aren't as good as they were, say, in the 80s, 90s, 70s? Do you think
But here's the problem with that question, because you're looking for a definitive answer for something that is not definitive. What's the definition of good? You know, what's good for you may not be good for somebody else. Okay, I know you're a huge horror buff, right? So a horror film you think is good, but another person who hates horror says, "Oh, it's horrible because I don't like horror." See, so I guess for me, the upside, and I understand that the content oversaturation that makes it hard. All of a sudden, you're looking for, you know, a pin not in a haystack. You're looking for a pin in a stack of pins. Okay, so, but is that worse? I mean, the fact that we have more choices, we're given so many choices that we're overwhelmed at it. Is that better or worse? I think it's better. You know, I think it's better. Again, I go back to the book example. I go to, you know, record examples. Now, as always, there is a shift in revenue and how the revenue stream is divided. Okay, I think Black Widow proved that to us. So that always lags behind any new idea or change or development. That, you know, that technology just moves at its own pace, and it's usually ahead of the game. And then everything else has to catch up to it. All right, you know, how do we distribute the money? How do we count the money? You know, so Damon saying, well, you know, we don't make as much money. That's crap. That is total and absolute crap. So I asked Matt Damon this: if you're so concentrated on that part of it, why don't you finance the movie yourself, bro? You certainly have more than enough money to finance a low budget indie prod film, okay, with the content that you think should be the content. But no, okay. Why'd you make so many Bourne movies? Because they paid me a lot of money. I get it. I'm okay with that. But then I think it's disingenuous to come back and say, well, now there's no DVD sales. Well, what happened before there were DVD sales? You know,
Yeah.
Well, there was the VHS. Well, what happened before that? And that was pretty much diluted. And that's why the blockbuster Hollywood video, those ideas were really, really strong. Because nobody's going out there and buying a collection back in those days. I remember when the VHS first came out, you know, you buy a movie, it was like, you know, 1980s dollars, and the thing's like $100. And somebody was smart enough to say, ain't nobody buying these movies, so let's buy the movies and rent them out for a reasonable amount, right? And then all of a sudden, these people tried to, you know, these small shops would pop up, and then they would try to, you know, late charge $1 million. What?
Huh.
I was only like 2 hours late. No, $1 million, right? And then somebody recognized, you know what? What if we don't charge them $1 million? What if we don't, you know, what if we make it a much lower penalty fee? Or let's eliminate the penalty fee. Or like Netflix, there is no penalty fee. Mail it to us, we'll mail it back. You know, so at every point there's an innovator, but I can't believe that there's less money floating around. The studios are acting as the studios have always done. I'd like to make this movie. I would like some money to do so. Prove to us that you can sell, okay, and we'll give you the money. Well, this is my first film. Well, then you're out of luck, buddy. Okay, we don't see it. And that's the way it's always been. It hasn't changed, but I think that now people have another option. All right, I can't get the money. I don't want to give them creative control, so I'm going to make my movie. It's a heck of a lot easier. Okay, how many Super 8 films were made that, you know, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but you know, there were a lot of critically acclaimed Super 8 films that were being made where these filmmakers couldn't get money from the studio. Now, are you kidding? And you could grab the latest iPhone and make a movie and then post it up on YouTube. That gives you more options, lowers the cost for the filmmaker, okay? Gives him sudden exposure, and if he's really smart, knows how to promote, gets a couple of influencers involved. Bang, there's your marketing. And marketing dollars to me have gone down for the studios. They haven't gone up. You know, so I don't know what he's talking about. You know, and when you talk about the reach per person, it's gone way down.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to be smart about it. You can't put up a big billboard. Who cares? You know, you're wasting your money trying to promote a film that way.
Well, why do you think that we're in this situation where most of every major theatrical release is a remake, a sequel, or a comic book movie or something like that? What do you think that's the market that's determining that? Like that's the audience?
I think it's two factors. I think it's I think it's production companies, okay, the big boys looking at the almighty dollar, and that's always been the case. And I think this question for every generation has come up. I think so. You always have that going on. I think that unfortunately, well, I'll give you a good one, and this is well before the industry had changed. Starsky and Hutch. Doing a remake has always existed once there was an ability to do a remake. Why? You figure it's safe. It's easy to sell to the studios. Okay. Wow, I'm going to make a Starsky and Hutch. That's something an accountant can relate to. Yeah, I used to watch, I used to watch Starsky and Hutch growing up. Me and my friends would go out until my dad beat us to death. We try to slide across the hood. Okay. And we put a big dent in my dad's hood. Right.
Yeah.
So, so that's always been a kind of thing. And then the remakes weren't working anymore. And then that became an issue. So they kind of drifted away from it. Now they think they've got a new formula. All right. The MCU. But at some point, you're going to oversaturate that as well. But again, you look at the top 20 films for the last 50 years. And most of them, I will say, are of the same type. It was the blockbuster and what the audience wanted during that period of time, whatever it may be. There were a lot of war movies at one point. There were a lot of, people had an interest in seeing that. There were always remakes, no matter how you slice that pie, or sequel, or whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think really things have changed. Yes, technology has changed, but that, for filmmakers, that's just adapting to the new situation. For production companies, it's just adapting to the new situation. That's, again, going back to the WB Discovery example, they're not adapting. They're trying to go back to the old days. We're only going to do theatrical releases. Good luck with that. There are some people that still will not go back to movie theaters. And there's some people who, I think we've talked about this. I'm not a movie theater goer, right? We've talked about this multiple times. So it's now providing me an ability to see more movies that I maybe wouldn't have seen. Only a few exceptions would get me out to the movie theater. So I haven't changed my behavior. Technology has just rewarded my behavior by making it more available and more movies to see.
Yeah.
So just because I'm going to put it in theater and make a big deal out of it, and people are going to come. No, they're not. Those that are coming would have come anyway. Those that don't come, they're still not coming. So you're not doing anything special. Streaming is always going to be a part now. And I think people forget about the numerous things and the way we absorb information. When was the last time you read a newspaper?
Long time ago.
Yep. Every plane ride, I would make sure to have 2 or 3 newspapers. So I had something to read during the flight. Why would I do that now? Change is hard, but for Matt Damon to blame it on DVDs, to me, the DVD sales, you weren't selling that many. Okay. You were selling enough, your main customer became the rental places. It's very rare that somebody would buy a DVD, right? I'll wait.
I don't know, man. There was a time where everybody I knew had DVD collections. I
remember a time where, again, you got to look at it overall, but I remember a time where you go to Target or Walmart and they had a big bin and there were $5 movies.
Yeah.
Buy a DVD for $5. So for every collection that somebody buys, there are 10 more that end up in that $5 bin.
Well, that's where a lot of people build their collections from. They're like, oh, this is a $5 movie. I'll check it out. And so then they buy it, right? But the thing is, to the studios, it doesn't matter, right? Because Walmart, Target, they bought those movies, right? Mm-hmm. It's like the comic shop buys the comics. Marvel didn't care if they didn't sell off the shelf at the store. They sold them. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's that. So do you think that the revenue is still there, just the same as it was? So they do get that secondary bump, like if it releases straight to streaming. Like where's the money? Where's the money in the long term in that? And how does that lead to possible like a smaller film and it was like Lama said, and this was I think Damon was getting to, is studios only want to take sure bets now. So they want to do the next Marvel movie, they want to do the next Harry Potter movie, they want to do the next whatever, the next Tom Cruise movie.
Always behave that way is my point. Okay. So when you talk about, where's the ancillary money? Okay, I'll tell you exactly where the ancillary money. So going back to your the example of the $5 bin, very simple. Now you're collecting from me every single month. Okay, and I'm busy like everybody is. I got other things to deal with, whatever the case may be. And I'll give you an example. I reminds me tonight I'm going to go home and take care of this. I've got Paramount Plus, right? Because I wanted to stream the Olympics. When were the Olympics?
That was a while ago.
Yeah. Over a year ago, right?
Yeah.
I still pay every month to this streaming service.
You mean Peacock? You're talking about Peacock, right?
Oh, Peacock, right. I'm sorry, not Paramount, Peacock. So you're still collecting that money from me every single month. Dings my credit card, and I don't even know this. All right. I pay for Netflix. I pay
So you
for
think
HBO Max.
you think you're $8, $9, $10 a month? I mean, and I get that compounds with everybody else, but like, you think that is equal to each movie getting a secondary release like 6 months later?
You're missing the point.
Okay.
So you go to the $5 bin. All these DVD failures. That's why they're in the $5 bin. Okay. Walmart, Target. I just got to move it. I just want to liquidate it and turn it into cash. So we have cash flow. So these are all losers. Okay. But the big films, hey, they're big. Okay. We made lots of money. Now, did Target and Walmart sell enough of the big ones to counteract the ones that they put in their $5 bin? I don't think so. Right. Because again, you're competing with Blockbuster. So all you're doing by putting it on your shelves is you're helping the studios advertise. Oh, look at that. That's out. Oh, hey, let's go to Blockbuster on the way home, honey. We're going to rent this. I'm not buying from Target. I'm going to my local Blockbuster and check and see if it's there. The only reason I would buy it is because it's not there, and it's continually not there, right? And I really want to see the movie. Now, by collecting money from me and you and everybody else every single month, all the films that didn't do well, I'm paying for that too. And so are you. Okay. So that money spreads out. So every bad show, every bad movie you put on there, and I don't want to watch. Okay. Because if that didn't work, if everybody's claiming, well, how does streaming make money? How did network TV make all that money? Think about it. Okay. Why does Jerry Seinfeld still get a residual check? There's no money. Seinfeld's not even on TV anymore. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you can't tell me that the revenue's gone. It's not gone.
Because I'm sure like what Netflix just picked up Seinfeld. So there's money there, right? Like they have to. Yeah.
Yeah. People are going to watch, and Jerry's going to be in his really, really big house in Manhattan getting a check every month for that. Okay. So how is the revenue gone? It's not gone. Okay. So network TV managed to make it work. Why can't streaming make it work? And even better than that, network TV was free. Yes, I had to watch commercials, but it was free. Now you're dinging me every month on my credit card for the streaming films, whether I watch or not. I don't think I've turned on Peacock in months.
Yeah.
Yet you're collecting. So I'm helping to support Peacock, and I haven't watched a darn thing on their channel now for months. So that's a bad thing for the studios? No way. Okay. Now I don't know what's in the thoughts of WB and Discovery that they're trying to make this push. To me, it is moronic. But then everything else they've done so far has been moronic, so it kind of fits in line. Okay. You don't hear Disney Plus, or you don't hear Kevin Feige going, you know what? My God, that's genius. Let's stop making these episodes of She-Hulk now. Okay. Let's not do the Hawkeyes, and let's not do any of this stuff. To me, Kevin Feige, that guy is a genius. He really is. How he's managed to not only make these blockbusters, but now use the streaming to incorporate something else. I'm dropping Easter eggs all over the place here so that when the time comes, when we have the blockbuster release, I've got Easter eggs dropping here in all these series. Talk about adjusting your marketing style. He did. That's brilliant. Okay. He's marketing his next movie in the series that you will pay for to watch.
Yeah.
Now that's some smart. Okay. So you tell me, well, studios never wanted to dump money in anything that wasn't a sure thing. I don't know a businessman that does, but you do sometimes because you'd have to take a risk. Sometimes it goes south on you. But to say that nobody wants to take a risk, again, I think that the quality, I think that independent directors and producers now have an opportunity they didn't have 20 years ago to get it seen. All right. I hate to break it to everybody. If it's not seen, maybe it sucked. I don't know what to tell you. Okay. Well, if I could just get it to a general audience, had a studio budget, then everybody would love it. No, your screenplay still really sucks, bro. Okay. Yeah. I don't care how much money you throw at it. It's not getting better. Okay.
Well, there's plenty of bad scripts that get, $200 million thrown behind it. Let's be honest, right?
Morbius. No, did I say that out loud?
But well, one thing is I knew this would be a good conversation, and it has been. So we want this conversation to continue. Let us know in the comments what you think about this. I'm very curious because I kind of see it, but I am a physical media collector. I have a Blu-ray collection. I have DVDs. I love that experience, that tactile thing. Like, I'm different than some people. Everybody's different. It just seems there are way less opportunities for these smaller scale films to be funded, to me. And it's just,
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. I mean, back in the 70s, tons of films were shot and never released because of the marketing costs. Okay, a lot of times the marketing costs would exceed the cost of actually creating the movie. So there's tons of stuff we never hear about that ended up just getting shelved before they did anything. Batgirls all over the place, if you will. But let me ask you a question. What would you say in the heyday? What do you say your monthly expenditures on DVDs or Blu-rays were as a collector? Okay, not as a watch, but as a collector. What would you say? You know, just a guess.
In the heyday,
yeah, when
month. Oh. I mean, I mean, I had thousands of movies, so the way I did in my heyday, I'm like buying used movies too, and all that kind of stuff. I would say that I probably would at times hit like $400 to $500 months, but for the most part, I just average it maybe 300.
300. Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say you spend on streaming?
Currently? Mm-hmm. Currently on streaming, I spend currently I'm spending about 25 on streaming, I think. But I really only have like Amazon Prime, which I don't have Amazon Prime for the streaming, but it's just part of it. And that's why I think they have a cool model because you know, I buy a lot from Amazon. Shit.
Yeah, well, they're unique.
And I get Paramount so I can watch the Trek stuff. And that's pretty much like I pay the Paramount subscription because I'm like, to me, that keeps Trek alive, even if I'm not watching.
You don't stream a lot. So you don't stream. I mean, you don't have a lot of streaming services. Okay. So I stream a lot. So let me think. So I've got Netflix, I got HBO Max. I got to remember to cancel my Stars 30-day free trial before they start dinging my credit card. I've got HBO Max, that I mentioned that already. And you know, obviously, as we said, Peacock. So probably my monthly expenditure is, you know, approaching about $100. Okay. So before that, all right. So keep in mind that although you may not be the key streaming customer, you're also still out there collecting, you know, adding to your DVD collection or your Blu-ray collection, I'm sure, as things crop up.
Yeah.
You are a movie theater goer, not like our buddy John. You do not have a Regal movie pass, which put him out of business.
I have the AMC pass, but that's a little bit more reserved.
So,
I get,
all right,
I
so
get
you
3
have an
movies
AMC
a week.
pass. Okay, so you have an AMC pass. So you pay that. What is that per month?
20.
All right. So really, you're at about 45, 50, okay, not including your internet connection, which you kind of have to take a piece of. So you're paying that consistently every month. Yeah. Name a company that wouldn't rather do that. Have a steady flow of revenue every month that they can count on.
Yeah. You know, I spend more on Blu-rays than I spend on streaming services. And here's the other thing though about this and why I love physical media. And I understand that, you know, there's also space issues and all kinds of stuff. But how many times have you been like, oh man, I remember this movie. I remember this show. Where's it at? I'm paying $200 a month for all these streaming services. I can't find nothing. This happens to my buddy Brooks all the time. He complains about the movies that we talk about. They're not available on his streaming services. I get to just walk over to my shelf and I got it.
Well, that's a different discussion. I don't begrudge anybody who likes the physical media. I mean, that's you know, that's a personal taste issue, right? So I'm not arguing that, but I'm arguing that there's no way that the lack of DVD sales has pushed revenue down. There's no way that's right. Okay, because the money is still there. If anything, more. Okay, they're collecting more money because their costs now have gone down. They don't have to deal with Blockbuster Video. They don't have to deal with these guys. They cut the middleman right out of there when they eliminated it. Now it's all mine. My streaming service, my film. Okay, and the money is coming to me. There's no middleman involved. Did they give us a break on pricing? A slight break on pricing? They sure did, of course, because their profits have gone way up now. You know, there's no cost of dealing with these guys. There's no cost of having to manufacture the physical media. That plastic case, the DVD itself, there's a cost involved there. Packaging, shipping it. You know, the logistics involved, getting it across distribution. Now all I have to do is hit a button. Bang. It's out there.
Yeah. Man, this has been a good conversation. I feel
It
like we could go on for another hour because we're opening up other things now.
Oh, yeah. Maybe
we'll
we should catch that next Friday.
Yeah, we'll save that for another show. So, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll leave it with Perry. He says boobies are nice on screen, but sometimes you just want to hold them, you know? And so I guess that makes sense.
That's a good one.
Yes, that makes sense. So join me and Rex over at The Experience on Monday at 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern for 2 hours. We got great comics, great collectibles. I'm sure we're going to have some Ken Hazer cover sketches, and that's going to be awesome. So join us there for those 2 hours. Comment, participate. You'll be entered to win a contest. We'll announce that winner then. And Rex?
Ken Hazer actually joined us in the chats on Wednesday, believe it or not.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. So, yeah, Rex, why don't you tell us a little bit about The Experience? Obviously, the show on Monday with me, the show on Wednesday with AR, and I think tonight Nick's got a show, right?
Tonight, Nick's got his original art show starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then John and I and Robbie will be back on Monday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. And then on Wednesdays, we have AR Comics. Alec also joins us from 6 to 8 p.m. With me and John. It's great collectibles, signed comics, slab comics. And usually our Friday conversations bleed into the Monday show.
Yeah, they do. I'm sure we will here.
I'm probably going to bring it up because I have so much more to say. But it's a great time. We're not like every other claim show that you see out there. We're not just throwing comic after comic in front of you. We could talk about anything. And we have talked about just about anything. So it's a great time, great crew. Our regular viewers, we've really kind of formed a community. So it's really nice to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So super fun show to be a part of. So everybody, thank you for joining. Let us know in the comments below what you think. We're dipping out.